Hey, it's Keith from Outlaw Speed Shop, and this is my entry, non-judged, into the Diecast Exchange Boneshaker build for the Drift Challenge. Every fourth month is a different challenge for a Boneshaker this year, and every month there is a challenge. It alternates between the Custom Diecast Invitational, Boneshaker, and Post-Apocalyptic. So I figured I'd go a little bit absurd on the Drift Shaker. And what I decided to do was I wanted an intake for a turbo, but I wanted it to be like absurdly large. Just to, not as a mockery per se, but it probably came out that way. I like turbos. I got one on my truck. But anyways, I found some cool all black rims with rail riders on them. I figured I'd start with those. I started fitting those how I wanted them to kind of look. And I also wanted this, obviously it's drift, so it's going to be semi-close to the ground. So in order to do that, I'm going to raise up the axles by using some axle tubes, which I needed anyways because the wheels that I had, the axles weren't long enough. So by using this aluminum tube, I can cut it, and I can pretty much space it how I want insofar as how high it goes. So obviously the higher your axle, the lower your stance. And, with that comes other problems or other modifications you have to make. But for the most part, I just pretty much cut it, open up the inside, make sure it's good, and then I can stick an axle through, or two axles in this case, and I kind of groove a little bit in the middle and open it up, and that way I can put a little bit of glue in there, and I can glue my wheels on axles that way. Then I've got this sculpting wire I want to use to make a turbo. So I found something I have these ferrules that I've been using for just about everything, and to fit the diameter of it, I found the perfect thing, which was a dry brush handle to wrap the sculpting wire around, and then I can insert the intake for my turbo right there. And again, this is extremely large. It doesn't need to be this large, but I wanted something that was going to fit where the skull goes. So that's kind of why I went this size. And I didn't get rid of the skull. I just drilled out the center, which pretty much eliminated it anyways. But the base of it's still there, as you can kind of see. And I'm going to end up cutting out the gas tank because it sits a little too high. And the reason being is I'm putting a bed cover on this with a spoiler. And the gas tank was in the way, so I just trimmed it down. I wasn't concerned about how it looked after cutting it because it was going to be hidden by this styrene. I'm just using the thinnest styrene I have. I'm fitting it, and then I'll add a piece on for the spoiler itself. I could have done it in one piece, and in hindsight, I probably should have. But doesn't really matter. I blended it in with some putty, and this paint scheme on this Boneshaker, I really liked it. It's subtle, and I just think it's kind of cool. So I wanted to keep it, and I'm all for, I have nothing against painting, customs. It's just every once in a while I run across, paint schemes and tampos that I really like. So there's no point in me recreate the wheel. There's nothing, it just fit with the drift theme. And what I end up doing is I'll end up masking off half of this casting, pretty much from the body seam up, and I'm going to be painting it black. That includes the spoiler that I'm putting on now. So I think it matched, believe it or not. So it all worked out really well. And it didn't require a ton of work, and I wanted that flat look. So I ended up using some putty to make an intake that I just pretty much pressed on top of the original stacks. There you can see the Tamiya putty that I'm using, and I just sanded it down after it dried, and it allowed me to put that spoiler on again. In hindsight, making it one piece probably would have been a lot easier. And now I'm just going to use a sanding disc to grind down the body seams on the top of the roof, and that allows me a nice smooth surface. and it gets rid of the body lines, and it's just another way to get the paint to adhere. So here you can kind of see I just used it all the way across, and I'm going to paint it flat black, and I want the rims to be red, so I decided to paint those red after priming them white. And the exhaust on the Boneshaker I'm not a fan of, so I'm going to cut those off. And you can see also that I painted the interior red, so I'm kind of going with a red-black theme, and it worked out all right. And then I've got these pewter skulls that I've had kicking around for quite a while. They're like jewelry skulls. I figured that'd be kind of cool to have on top of the intake and instead of the intake, because I didn't like the way that looked. And the turbo goes into the mouth, so I just thought it was different. It's kind of but I like it. And once again, I'm using a little bit thinner sculpting wire to make my exhaust. I'm trying to cut semi-equal pieces just to have a base. And here I am using some putty. This is the 2-part epoxy. I've had this forever. I use very little of it here and there. It's okay to work with. You gotta, obviously it's like any other putty. You have to knead it together. Keep your fingers moist. So, dip them in some water or lick them, whatever the heck you want. It doesn't really matter, but I'm using that to fill in the base of the skull. And what I'm going to do is to make sure that this thing stays on, because it really wasn't a good surface to glue to. I'm actually putting a peg, so I'm pinning this into the actual interior. I put a little side skirts on this thing, a front spoiler. Here you can see all my pieces. I didn't form the exhaust until I had everything together. And this is everything together. This is just a quick build. We had a lot of great entries into this challenge. And, if you guys are so inclined, it's $8.99 a year to join the Diecast Exchange. A great group of people. We meet up every Saturday night on similar to Zoom. And these contests, first place is $60 Amazon card, $30 for second, and $15 for third. So, with one win of anything, even third place, you're doubling your cost of entry for a year. So, to me, it's worth it, and it's strictly for customs, for people who are interested in customs. So, it's worth checking it out if you feel so inclined. It's the diecastexchange.com. The link is down below. Hope you like this, and I'll catch you on the next one.